mean, it's a little flimsy, of course. It is from Spirit, but I mean, for the design, look at where the handle is. It's not a bad design machete. It's literally what I was looking for the Part 3 costume. Definitely not bad. What's going on, guys? How you doing? Feel like it's been forever. What's going on, Depp? What's going on, Jason? What's going on, Chuck? What's going on, Ty? What's going on, Ghosts? And of course, I don't want to forget people watching on Facebook. Todd Mello, Adam Marcus, and Jacqueline. I'll just say Jacqueline. I don't want to butcher the other names. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. But yeah, definitely enjoying the new machete, which I may even jump on the stream tomorrow in the Part 3 costume with the new machete to see how it all looks. Let you guys tell me what you think of it. Yeah, it looks pretty real. I mean, aside from when you look at it live and you see the handle, you can definitely tell it's plastic. But I mean, the blade itself, when compared to all the other machetes from all the other Friday the 13th, I think it's very reminiscent of maybe Part 3. That's why I got it. Even Jason Goes to Hell, it kind of looks like that machete too. But we're going to be getting started here shortly. And if you guys don't know what we're watching tonight, if you didn't read the title, we are... Oh yeah. And to answer questions, we are watching the unrated version. So if you guys have the unrated version, make sure you got that in your Blu-ray, DVD, VHS, whatever you got to do to get it in there. Just make sure you got it in there. So you weren't able to watch Pumpkinhead 2, or at least all of it. I mean, definitely, I hope you get to watch the whole thing, because I personally like Pumpkinhead 2. It's not as good as Pumpkinhead 1, but it is fairly interesting and very sad story. It's the worst Friday. I mean, it's definitely an entertaining Friday, but as far as like in the overall arcing canon, it's not one of my favorites, but it is still something I watch. Oh, what's going on, Cozy Beast from D Live? How you doing? Hope your night's doing well. Yeah, that's kind of what drove me to that death. The deformed kid that eventually becomes Pumpkinhead. And his name's Tommy, of all things. So I think the writers and the makers of that movie knew exactly what they were doing. You have it on your beta tape? Oh shit! Pop that thing in and let's get ready to roll. Which, for any of you guys on Facebook, I know it is off-putting to see me talking and not know who the hell I'm talking to. If you guys want, you can join in the overall conversation, because for some reason, Restream does not allow my chats from YouTube to go to Facebook. So if you guys want and actually be a part of the conversation that I'm having and I don't look like a crazy person to you, feel free to jump over to YouTube and join in the chat room there. So you got yours ready, Ghost? I see you are off and ready to go. So you got MK11 a few days ago. I was thinking about it, but I think if anything, I'm gonna go ahead and grab Blair Witch. His name is Tommy on there. Wesley Snipes could probably pull off a good dude. Definitely more of a physical dude too. Yeah, definitely. His name is Tommy on there. And he's even kind of dressed like Part 2 Jason. What's going on, Music Man? How you doing? Well, I mean, Music Man, I'll likely be able to get through it just because it is a Jason movie. So I'll definitely be able to get through it. I did see Adam Marcus was popping in and out of the Facebook chat. So, I mean, if he's in there still, I could definitely ask him about that. And yes, it is the real Adam Marcus. Those kids who killed Tommy West, definitely. Very reminiscent of like Stephen King kind of bullies too. Yes, it is. It's the real one. So how many of you guys actually got the unrated version of Jason Goes to Hell? I'm assuming everybody here. Because I mean, if you're gonna get it, why not get it unrated? So you don't have it right now, unfortunately. Do you have a rated version then, Death? Because I'm sure there should be somewhere you should be able to watch that. I know it was on Netflix a while back, but I don't know if it's still on there. I definitely feel for you, Dad. I do. I mean, with me, I have all the movies, even the ones I don't like. Or I can't even say I don't like. Because I mean, my overall look at the New Line Jason movies, granted, I don't like them as far as part of the canon, but I do still like them for the character, if that makes any sense. Like, I definitely don't mind Jason Goes to Hell, Jason X, or Freddy vs. Jason. But when you kind of compare as far as canon, you take a scene from something like Jason X or Freddy vs. Jason, and you put in comparison of tone to Pamela speaking in part 1, it definitely does not fit within that realm. But like goes to say, like, pretty much I support all Friday the 13th content. If they brought out Jason Goes to Hell anything tomorrow, especially digitally, I got it. I'm gonna get it. It's gonna be there. Like, I remember when the Jason Goes to Hell comic book came out. I wish I still had those issues, but I did collect those issues when they came out. I lived like right next to a comic book store. So pretty much I was right there grabbing them as soon as they came out. So it was something I definitely enjoyed, especially when Jason Goes to Hell first came out in theaters. I was in the theaters to watch it. And I enjoyed it in the theaters, which is really all that really matters, I guess, for most filmmakers. Like, if you had a great theater going experience, then fuck it, why not? It's all great. But like I said, like, when you actually get the movie home, you're older, you start analyzing the way I do, especially being a horror movie theorist. You start looking over everything from multiple angles. And you look at, okay, something's not right here, as opposed to what happened in 7 or 8 other movies. And then you realize after watching the documentary, like Adam Marcus said, he wasn't allowed to use Tommy. New Line only had a very limited amount of the rights to Jason, like using the Jason character himself, Camp Crystal Lake, and Pamela. They weren't allowed to use Tommy. They weren't even allowed to call the films Friday the 13th. So that's why we get Jason Goes to Hell. And they squeeze in there the final Friday. It's not like the final Friday the 13th. And then we get Jason X, that isn't Friday the 13th part 10. And then we get Freddy vs. Jason and not A Nightmare on Friday the 13th or something like that. To see how Tom Savini would have designed something like that. Although, if I remember right, I think they said K&B designed this Jason's design. Which is really weird because Greg Nicotero is a Tom Savini level type special effects artist. And for them to fuck up the Blind Eye the way they did was very weird. Freddy vs. Jason is... Oh, you love Freddy vs. Jason, but the other ones I think my opinion is that the Freddy versus Jason version of Jason pales in comparison to the other two, unfortunately. That Jason did have a lot of kills in Freddy versus Jason, but the way he moved, the way they portrayed the character compared to how Jason was compared, and even Jason Goes to Hell, the multiple people that portrayed Jason on there, he was as monstrous as he was in part 7, but just different skins. And then adding a different level of supernaturalness to Jason kind of bogged down the character, in my opinion. But I mean, they were trying to tell a different story, which I get. But I think it was like a really good tease that we got the beginning of Jason Goes to Hell, where it was literally someone at a summer camp getting chased by Jason, and it felt in tone correct to the first 5 movies. And then once you get more into the supernatural aspect, it kind of took part 6 and cranked the level to like 20. Hey, what's going on, Mr. Collection? How you doing? Oh no, we're not in the movie yet. We're getting ready to get started here shortly. Now, Pumpkinhead is pretty powerful, but the whole thing with Pumpkinhead, even in part 1, is if you don't know to attack his avatar, basically the person that is cursed with Pumpkinhead, then Pumpkinhead's pretty much unstoppable. You can't really do anything with him. But if you find the person that conjured him, then you stand a chance, because all you have to do is kill that person, and then you're good. But also, with the Pumpkinhead lore, is if Pumpkinhead's summoned again, then what will end up happening is Pumpkinhead will go after the new people he summoned for, but the moment he gets those people, he goes after previous people too. At least that's supposed to be the lore. Think of it as the invisible force from It Follows, where pretty much if you have sex to transmit the curse over to someone else, the moment the thing kills that person, then it's coming back after you. It's a similar thing with Pumpkinhead. How would I remake Jason Goes to Hell? Essentially, that's a really good question. Oh, I got it on DVD, Mr. Collection. I haven't bought it on Blu-ray yet, but now that I got the Blu-ray collection of all the Paramount films, I will begin the Blu-ray collection for all the New Line ones as well. Yeah, I think with Pumpkinhead, you can only summon him for revenge. But how would I remake Jason Goes to Hell? I would start it similar to this, with the having a girl like come to the campgrounds, maybe the new owner or something like that. Except I wouldn't have it been the FBI. I would have ultimately have made it where she gets killed. Pretty much restarting everything. Like, Jason is back, he's killed someone, and that person being missing kind of starts a investigation into the campgrounds. Then you end up where maybe the FBI gets brought in and bounty hunters get brought in, and that's where you introduce Duke as a more upfront like kind of character, instead of someone that's just kind of delivering exposition to your main characters. Like, yeah, Jason is this, that, and that, and then you do this. I would have had it where with him coming there's a couple other bounty hunters, FBI agents. They're combing the woods, trying to find Jason. It would almost turn into a Predator-esque kind of movie, with Jason kind of picking off these people. Or if you could have it where they don't find Jason at all, and pretty much Jason has now gone into the town. Instead of just clearing out the camp, he's now clearing out the town. And he just happens to be maybe where the Voorhees house is supposed to come into play, in that neighborhood, clearing it out. I mean, I would kind of want to think about it a little bit more just to really wrap my head around the concept, but I do know I would want Duke to play a much bigger role with that character. No, part 9 takes place... Well, here's the thing. Part 9 was, in chronological order, is supposed to take place after part 8. But if you follow what the documentaries have said, part 9 treats part 8 the same way part 6 treats part 5. There's no mention of it, and as far as what's supposed to be going on is it's not really canon. Hey, what is going on, Lamato? How are you doing? And Box of Lava. How are you guys doing? I heard that Ghost with the Never Hike Alone sequel. I figured that's what the announcement on the 13th was supposed to be. Tommy and Duke versus Part 7. That is quite the matchup. Pennywise versus Jason. I would probably say Pennywise. If Jason even has a little bit of fear, then chances are he's going to be able to capitalize on Jason. Not to mention he can always take the form of Pamela. Hey, what's up, Death? What's going on? Now I'm seeing some of the things here and there. The music is too loud. Well, I mean, the chat on YouTube is actually hearing me. But I turned it down a little bit. What's worse, part 8 or part 9? It kind of with part 8, I think part 8's quality dropped drastically in the Friday the 13th series. Part 9 raised it. So if I'm going to compare the two, then part 9 is much better than part 8, in my opinion. Hey, what's going on, Donald? How you doing? I see you on Facebook. Do you like pizza? That feels like such a random question. Did Alright, guys. We've given enough time. It's time to get into the movie. Here we go. Jason and Michael versus Babyface Killer and Jacob Goodnight. I would have to go with Jason and Michael. What is happening? I'm scared. You should be. Matter of fact. There will be no spamming here. The next spam will also be timed out. You get 2 timeouts, and then you get the boot. Or the machete. Tiny Lister would be a good dude. I couldn't take him seriously, not since Friday. All I'd see is Debo. Did we hit play? Not yet. We haven't hit play yet. Let me get my my shit together here first. Alright. So you guys know how this goes. You will grab your unrated version of Jason Goes to Hell. And then I will give a countdown. Once I say play, you hit play. And then we watch the movie together. Yeah, the restream, it wasn't a restream bot, it was someone from Twitch. They have since been dealt with. But let us begin. Let me bring my screen down a little bit. Turn off the sound so there will be no copyright issues. Yes, Kane Hodder did play the security guard on here. So you don't have the unrated? Oh, that's fine. I mean, you can still kind of watch the movie with me anyways. Even the rated version. I think there's only maybe 2 or 3 minutes longer for footage. Yeah, I think the blades at the bottom of the picture on the screen is supposed to represent Freddy's glove. Jason is supposed to be 6'8". I mean, he is taller in part 3 and compared to Chris, but you look at him in part 4, that doesn't look like a 6'8" guy. Definitely part two doesn't look like a 6'8" guy. Part six definitely looks like a 6'8" guy. Does mine make me select the unrated? Yes, it does. Alright, so here we go, guys. We're getting ready to begin. I know I said that like 1,000 times now. But for real this time. And we're going to do this in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play. I forgot about that sound. Like quite literally, that sound kind of sounds like those old little like zing like. I do like they at least got the like they got that whole sound right. See, like look at how this looks in itself. It is literally ripped in the tone of part one. And I gotta definitely give them credit for that. Crystal Lake 4. Like if they would have gave us the entire movie like this, I definitely wouldn't have been mad. Oh yeah, Tiny Lister was in Dark Knight. He was the inmate that took the remote control that was supposed to blow up the boat and threw it off the boat. But it's like still going back to my one theory or my one video. How is it that Jason was so he was he was watching so hard that he noticed her coming and there in the cabin, but still did not notice the group of FBI agents that set up giant fucking lights in the woods and camouflage and shit. I mean, unless they set that completely up during this, all of this, because they knew her there was going to keep Jason distracted. But that's a hell of a fucking gamble for someone that is now known to have killed as many people as he did. I don't know, like, I mean, for her character to know what she got herself into, and that takes a lot of balls to get completely butt naked in a cabin where a psychopathic serial killer has killed well over 150 people and you got nothing on you. You're by yourself and you have to lure said killer into the open. Jason felt her clothes hit the floor and got an instant murder boner. It reminds me of the Decker Shadow review where like her foot touched water. It's like that counts as skinny dipping, bitch. It's on. See now the makeup there really looks good in the darkness and the shadows. And of course, you got Kane Hodder playing him behind the mask, so it works on a lot of levels. But yeah, like now seeing them, going back to what I said before about how it relates to Part 8, in the documentary, they were said to disregard Part 8, at least according to Adam Marcus, because it wasn't a popular movie. So they wanted to kind of disregard that, similar to how Part 5 wasn't a popular movie, so Part 6 disregarded that. I would want to see Kane Hodder play a Ghost Jason. I think that'd be pretty cool. I know he said he's up to play Jason again, if that opportunity ever comes. And they just light his ass up. She got cardio. Now, I'm not gonna lie. If out of the two deaths of Jason, this and the demons dragging him to hell, I felt like that was a lot better in my mind. To me, that was a whole lot more epic than the demons dragging him down. If they would have saved that to the end, I would have probably gave this movie a standing ovation. Mostly due to we've had people kill Jason in certain ways, like Tommy hacking him in the eye. No one had the balls to blow Jason up like that. But to kind of do it at the beginning, granted I know the plot called for it, is the proverbial blowing your load. So then anything after that is not going to be as effective. There they are, Youngstown, Ohio. There's Kane Hodder as the security guard. I don't know if it's the people standing around him or... But Kane looks really small compared to him. They blew that motherfucker up. Yes, they did. You know some shit when you blow the heart out of someone. Here comes the shit movie. Yay for boobies. I mean, we're always a fan of boobies. Most certainly. How did Ghost Jason get his clothes and mask? Pretty much from what I remembered Vincente DeSanti saying is essentially he got him back from the camp. Or at least the mask. Hey, Cheesy Nips, how you doing? Welcome. We are currently 9 minutes and 50 seconds into the movie if you want to join us. If you have a copy of the unrated Jason Goes to Hell. That fancy setup. I like to think we're a little snazzy over here. Got a couple of props on hand. I feel shy. I throw this on. Oh, thank you, Cheesy Nips. Thank you. Gotta love that name too, Cheesy Nips. Please don't cut the cheese. Unless this is a text and sniff chat, I think you're gonna be okay there, Ty. Explosive trauma. Jason's heart, part of this balanced breakfast. I mean, it's likely because you figure, according to Vincente DeSanti's premise for Never Hike Alone, Packanack, Higgins Haven, Crystal Lake, Forest Green, all of them have been pretty much abandoned. And the entire grounds surrounding the lake have been pretty much closed off. So you figure how much of that Jason could probably go through and take clothes from, let alone find another hockey mask. So it does definitely make sense. Oh, thank you, Mr. Collection, for the light. Oh, if Axel ate the heart, just running around stabbing people with a raging boner. Oh, thank you, Devin. Thank you. Thank you guys for all the likes on the videos, all the commentaries, matter of fact. So you wonder what the fluid is then. Yeah, fuck that. Like, that would have to hypnotize me at the first beat, or I'm getting the fuck out of there. I ain't touching or looking or anything. It's like he's like trying to understand it, and then it's like getting more and more in his head. Although I would have loved to have heard Pamela's voice calling out to him. I have not seen that yet, Music Man. He's tearing that shit up like a cheeseburger. This is proof that people need an extra lunch break. Like, you're not you when you're hungry. Literally. He's like screaming because he's like, it's like that hate kind of eat where you're dieting, but you're so hungry and someone has a pizza in front of you and you eat 2 or 3 slices of that pizza and you're just like screaming like, oh no, I have to do 1,000 more fucking sit-ups. It's like something like that. That would have had to have been how Diana was born. Because I don't think Diana is a full sister to Jason. Not gonna lie though, the way the coroner acts, even as Jason, he wouldn't have made a bad Jason either. Oh, definitely Music Man. Send me a link to that. Especially once this video is uploaded after the commentary is over. Please send me a link to that because I definitely want to watch that. Jason killing the security guards. Or already killed them, rather. So wouldn't he kind of be the prime suspect just because he's missing? I mean, I think if Pamela knew that Elias was cheating on her, it's hard to say whether she would really have cared or not. Because if Elias is supposed to have been as abusive as he's been depicted in the comics, it's likely she only really focused on Jason. Especially if she was willing to kill Elias. Yep, on Robert Campbell part. On the Robert Campbell part. I'm like missing words tonight. It's like weird. Get Creighton Duke. So in typical Creighton Duke fashion, that means he's been doing this and he's been high profile for a while. Like, what? Hot dog to a donut? Yeah, Duke should have had a much bigger role in this. Oh, for Vengeance Ghost? Yes, I will. Unfortunately, I will not be putting it on stream though. I'll record the video and then I'll upload it. But I'm not going to do it on stream just so if I do get any kind of strike for it, I will still be able to stream afterwards. Imagine Tommy in that get up. Exactly. Dead. D-E-D. Dead. Oh no, it would be kind of the whole thing with making Steven Tommy, if the story still played out the same, would be really weird that Tommy just inadvertently had a relationship with Jason Voorhees' niece. That would be kind of weird and make the entire world feel so small. Excuse me. Hockey mess. I remember seeing that and tried doing that myself and making a hamburger like that. Could never get it right. One of the benefits of having a big heart again, you care more about what you do. Jason clearly excels at murdering everybody he comes across. So he needs a heart twice the size to really show that compassion. But that's what I mean, Ty. Like, out of just chance that he ends up with Jason's niece, that's really, really, really coincidental, judging by Tommy's relationship with Jason. Now, what's that supposed to mean? Like, if the chief, like, tried fighting Duke, Duke would have beat the shit out of him? Because, I mean, he didn't really show much of a fighting prowess against Jason. I mean, if the heart started talking to you and telling you to eat it, I don't think, at least in the coroner's stance, I don't think you really had a choice. My thing is how do you eat the heart? It pretty much goes into your stomach, and I mean, does it form like an egg or something and turn into the little wormy demon that we see near the end of the movie? I mean, that's true, Ty. But for Tommy Jarvis, the the person, him out of everyone in that town, didn't put the pieces together that his girl that he gets pregnant and has a kid with at some point is related to Jason. That would be kind of weird. Especially as obsessed as Tommy was with Jason. Have I seen Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark? I have not yet. I really do, though. Oh yeah, Duke is supposed to be intimidating. He definitely, Steve Williams definitely pulls that off. Jason is not a Deadeye. I completely agree. In the Paramount version, I think in the New Line version, you could kind of make it work because of the multiverse factor. So in the New Line version, he may have some Deadeye qualities because their Necronomicon on here may have different properties as opposed to what's in the Evil Dead universe and then what would be in the Paramount universe. Oh yeah, the Paramount Jason died in part 8. This Jason here is a completely new universe Jason. This is the beginning of the New Line era. Jason's history before this may mirror closely what happens in the Paramount versions, but in my mind, there are great differences that happen, especially since Part 8 never happened for this movie. Can't stop yawning tonight. I mean, my guess, for Adam Marcus, who he probably had intended for Tommy, likely would have been Tom Matthews. Maybe Tom Matthews. It might have even been Corey Feldman. Judging by the way Steve acts, it seems like a lot of his dialogue, you could have replaced him with Corey Feldman, and he'd have fit right into that role. I mean, you could kind of think that, but because of what the studios bought the rights to for this, a lot of it for fans doesn't necessarily fit. Like that's why we didn't get why how Jason was resurrected from part 8 onto that. Now I know they said there's a comic that kind of shows that, but as I say with most comics aren't, well, all comics usually aren't canon unless said otherwise. The SCU slasher cinematic universe. I like that. But I mean, as a fan, it's all like what you particularly see as canon. Now, this was, for all intents and purposes, supposed to be a sequel in the Friday the 13th lore, Part 9. But because of New Line not buying the Friday the 13th name and not the entire rights from Paramount, not even access to the video library from the Paramount movies, it pretty much acts as the starting point for a new era. And because of that, they can cut off everything before this movie and create their own lore. So essentially, this was technically the first reboot for Friday the 13th. I can look into it, dude. You know me, I'm always a theory guy. I could definitely look into it for you. Yeah, I think the body hopping just kind of bogged down everything. Like, it was an interesting concept that would have definitely made a really good fan film. It'd have been something different. But as far as, like, within the lore itself, didn't really work necessarily as well. But it did give a lot of different people a chance to play their version of Jason, which I can respect. Because, I mean, if you replace all of the killers in this with Jason's actual physical form, the movie jumps up a couple of points instantly. And then, like, you take away the body hopping, or even the ending with him getting dragged to hell because of his niece and the family aspect. There's a couple of things you could have switched around, especially if you were intending the whole Necronomicon thing. You could have used it where Jason wasn't a Deadite, but Duke did use the Necronomicon to even make a deal himself, if you're going that route, to take Jason to hell. Like, sacrificing his soul to take Jason to hell. And that would have been phenomenal. It would have preserved the Jason character as we know it, because we still don't know how he was brought back, but it brought in an element that you could have used even if you didn't get the rights to Evil Dead. You could just use any Necronomicon. Just swap out the book with another. And automatically you're looking at a hell of a different ending that preserves the Voorhees family, Jason as a character, in the tone of the series completely. Oh, I forgot how much more graphical or more graphic. I don't think graphical is the correct word. How much more graphic the sex scene in the 10 is. Can't remember. I thought someone said they were actually fucking. Oh, he broke the plane. Touchdown. It's like Jason knows when to start walking towards the line. They're not paying any kind of attention to anybody. I'm moving in for the kill. Yeah, the remake is very fucking graphic. The only thing you're missing is Rob Zombie behind the camera to just add that hillbilly effect. And then you got a typical Rob Zombie movie, the way those scenes were going. Oh. So she got penetrated too. So that counts as a threesome. Ooh, that's a hell of a kill. Yes, the book in the first Evil Dead movie did have a different name. I believe Naturam de Montos was the actual name for the first book in the first original movie. However, the rules for that book stands about the same as it does in the entire Evil Dead series, according to Professor Nobi on his tape recorder. The golden chainsaw. Exactly. Yep. Jason hates the most sex. Cop blocking since 1984. Now you wonder if Jason could actually take possession of dogs. Or does it have to be human? Yeah, I think Josh, when he got possessed, Jason like shit. It's cold as fuck in here. We get some clothes on. But yeah, I think he's likely he got up and got his clothes on. My question is, who the hell let him out of the bonds? Or is Jason strong enough to break out of them? If Blumhouse gets him, I mean, obviously, yeah, they're not gonna go the undead route. I don't think. My guess is, I would probably go with Kane Hodder. Kane Hodder as a living Jason, just because he hasn't done it yet. Hey, what's going on, Shadow Marshmallow? Yeah, it's your first time to the stream. Glad to have you. I'll see you, Devin. Have a good night, my friend. It's like, why is Jason like shaving him? So I hope Blumhouse doesn't get Friday the 13th. I mean, someone with a good track record with slasher movies, I definitely don't mind. And with Blumhouse's track record now with Halloween, and they did capture a good feel of the Friday the 13th movies. So, I mean, and they care about the genre. So I definitely wouldn't mind them getting it. I just don't want a monopoly on slasher movie. I don't want everybody going to Blumhouse, similar to how everybody went to Platinum Dunes after they did Texas Chainsaw. Like I say, Jason's definitely into some kinky shit. Jason shaving a guy and looking like he's going in for a deep kiss. Jason didn't like the mustache. Guess it reminds him too much of Jenny when she put the machete through his shoulder. Like, I was halfway through shaving, and this bitch put a machete through my shoulder. So you wonder if he inherits their memories too. Jason, make sure to hang up the phone. Don't want to be running up your phone bill. And it's like still weird because Jason's whole curse is predicated on the love for his mother. So basically it's love for family. But the whole movie is about Jason going after his family. Oh no, Jason caught. Jason grew out of that. So if Jason knew that he could have killed her and still been resurrected, why didn't he kill her and take her back to the camp and then resurrect himself? People who made this movie are Michael Myers fans. It's definitely a possibility there. Yeah, I was surprised he talked in this film too. Well, I remember them talking about that in the documentary. Nerd jock powers. Did Chillin really make this movie? Man, never know. Like now, as ballsy as Jason gets walking into a police station, then pretty much just walking into the diner and killing all those people. What was to stop him from going right back in the house, killing two people, taking his sister, and resurrecting himself? Like, why did Jason run off? And why is the house not a crime scene? This ain't Crystal Lake at all. I agree. Because then it's still like, now think of this. Creighton Duke had all of the opportunity to tell Diana exactly what it takes to kill Jason. Why didn't he tell her? Knowing that Jason was going to come for her. Why didn't he say anything? What do I think the next Friday the 13th movie will be, and when will it come out? Oh, and will it come out? I think it's highly likely at this point. Tom McLaughlin's movie will likely get made. I mean, I think the makeup, especially when it's lit, um, shows a little bit that it could have probably used some work. But I mean, ultimately, I don't mind the makeup. I just felt the way the mask was kind of fused to the face made the entire head makeup kind of look like a really good Halloween mask. Especially when you account for the eye behind it, because the eye behind it to me doesn't kind of line up with how the face is like pressed against it or growing over it. You expect the eye to be like really be up close to the eye hole. But other than that, my only real complaint for the makeup is having the eye on the wrong side. Because he wouldn't get the break fingers. Probably. Duke's an asshole. He's great, but he's an asshole. Think fans want to see the return of Tommy Jarvis to the franchise. To me personally, I think any of the final girls returning would also be preferred too. Especially Jenny. Chris Rock would be a pretty good choice for Reggie the Reckless. Except he would be a little bit too jarring because of how he acts. Duke and Tommy team up. That would be pretty cool. Yeah, I think Tommy should die too. Like any of the final people that they bring back should ultimately get killed. Because Jason kind of set that tone with Alice. And we never really got a payoff like that since. Here comes the finger breaking. So I'm not sure if I'm breaking fingers on someone I'm counting to help stop Jason. Especially if I know how supernatural he is. Give me the hand. It's like caressing it. Ooh. Just the sound effect. Like, oh. Like, fuck you. I felt like you broke two fingers on that one. I get two secrets. Hmm. Like, shit, man. How many fingers you got left? Dukes an ass. Agreed. I mean, granted, I get what he's doing. It's showing how dedicated he is to stop Jason. So it's sort of like an initiation. Like how dedicated are you to this cause? So that would indicate that Elias is dead. But the whole thing is with that, Diana shot him in the head. That didn't kill him. So obviously the whole thing was they needed a dagger. So why the fuck didn't Duke tell him about the dagger? That'd be funny as shit, Dad. I think Thomas Jane could work, especially if he can kind of play crazy. Because I mean, I still, like I said, I still picture the definitive Tommy being the Part 5 Tommy. How crazy and tortured that guy played Tommy. I think his name was John Shepard, was it? Like, shit, man. She's harsh. Let the baby stay. Because I mean, Jason got so desperate to the point in this movie that he actually almost like possessed the baby to actually not possess, but transferred himself into the baby to resurrect himself. That mom had a sailor mouth. It's almost like Rob Zombie wrote her dialogue. Although this movie would have been 1,000 times better and probably would have been close to one of my favorites if they would have replaced her with Bill Moseley and had the same dialogue. Yeah, man, the Voorhees family had a hell of a fucking house. Now, here's the thing that kind of makes me question the whole Necronomicon thing. So, you mean to tell me after Pamela went on her murder spree in 1979, 1980, whichever year you want to say, regardless, she went on her murder spree. Nobody checked the Voorhees house for any kind of evidence to motive. Okay, we can disregard that. Jason Voorhees. Turns out, at least in the eyes of the public, he's been alive all this time and goes on another killing spree. Still, nobody checks the Voorhees house to make sure he wasn't living there. And none of them found any of the evidence like the Necronomicon or anything. Never noticed, but when you have the headphones on, you can hear almost like a whispering. See, I thought that too, Jason. I thought Reggie actually was Duke. But then when they gave the backstory to Duke, that pretty much didn't match up with that. I was like, why? Why didn't you just leave his history ambiguous? Because I forget where it comes out. I think it might be in some of the documentaries. That Creighton Duke's history is that Jason killed his girlfriend. And he's been wanting revenge ever since. Pam had a nice house, definitely. Hell of a nice house for a cook at a summer camp. Yeah, I can deal with. I can agree with that, Chuck. Jessica isn't exactly on their same level. Oh no, he is talking to a Reg on the phone. Could be Reggie. Although he should have died a pretty horrible death. See, like the bullfrog kind of net. Snake tongue. Will I do a commentary on Ghost Ship? I think I'll do one eventually. Because there's a lot of those movies I definitely want to watch again. Yep, the melting scene. Oh. That just looks fucking painful. The jaw stuck to the ground. You look the way his face is kind of melting, though. He gets the drooping eye like Jason. Jason's like, God damn it, I gotta change. I got shit I got to do. Ah, man, Jason got there quick. Golden chainsaw. So this movie we get two golden chainsaws. I mean, definitely deservingly so for those scenes. Yeah, I think so. I think once Jason changed over, the thing is, when Jason took over Josh's body, he accumulated all the injuries, and as Duke said, the bodies get diseased. So pretty much the diseases became too much even for Jason and burnt the body out. So once Jason jumped to another body, it was like sort of like um I guess you could say like if Venom was in control of like Eddie Brock completely and then jumped to someone else, Eddie Brock gets his senses and control of his body back. Same thing would be there. Like Josh got all of his awareness back, and the thing is, because Jason was sort of like a pain relieving drug, the moment Jason left, Josh became human again. So he felt all of those injuries at once, and the disease completely took a hold of his body and just decimated it. I mean, that could be death. Reggie could have got a girl later, and she got killed by Jason. But, like, the only thing is, at what point? Because the only time we don't see Jason on screen is between the events of part 1 and 2. Everything else, we see everything Jason does up until this point in the movie. There is a little gap between what's supposed to be part 8 and 9, if you count part 8. But at what point would have Reggie encountered Jason for this to happen? Especially if you consider if it's undead Jason, which would make sense for Reggie to know everything he knows about undead Jason and the whole curse. And like the Voorhees curse. But we know what happens to Jason when he gets resurrected as undead in part 6. We know he gets trapped at the bottom of the lake at the end of part 6, only to wake up in part 7. And then get trapped at the bottom of the lake again in part 7, only to wake up from the bottom of the lake in part 8 and get drowned in toxic waste. So there's no real in-between where you could fit a Reggie or Duke story in there. So there's a new fan film coming out called The Fall of Cam. That's the one from Slash and Cast, right? That's the one they're making? Lawrence Fishburne as Duke would have been a really good Duke, too. Right, beat the shit out of him and kick him out of the car. And another called Here Comes the Night. Then last I saw, there's another one from, I heard something about the one dude, JV211, doing a one called Redemption. I don't know how far along that one is, but hey, as many fan films as you can get, bring it on. Keep me with all the fan films until this lawsuit gets fucking settled over and we can actually get official movies. But I'm definitely anxious to see what Slashing Cast does. Just like pretty much rumbling in the fucking dirt. Headbutt each other. Like, what the hell? Like, why would you tell him what the hell is going on? Oh yeah, I'm definitely hyped for Vengeance and Jason Rising. I can't wait to see both of them, and I'm glad like we're almost like there. Almost looks like he has like the octopus kind of like suction things on the side of his neck. Jason just took a bow to the chest. He's like, "Bitch, you hurt me." I would have made it also pretty cool that if just because she was part of the Voorhees bloodline, anything she did to him hurt him like a normal human. Like if you had her fist fighting Jason, her and Jason basically she could hurt him physically with like a punch or something, not just stabbing weapons or anything like that. Ugh. So you want them to do a Freddy versus Jason versus Ash movie? I mean, it could be entertaining, especially if they do it by the comic. Only thing is with doing a kind of versus movie like that, especially seeing how they did Freddy versus Jason, you're not going to get a happy medium in tones with all three characters. Fuck that. Like, why not just go in there? Because you're in a place that everyone recognizes the name. Why not run in there like, dude, Jason Voorhees is alive. And he's coming this way. I made it do a whole 360. Ooh. Well, at least you know Jason's not a heathen. He made sure to shut the door behind him. Gratuitous slow motion scene. Ooh. I don't know why he always remind me of a fucking like leprechaun or some shit. Yeah, the gore effects for the movie in general are top notch. Hmm. Of course, you got classic Jason with that. Now she's careful to shoot Jason low so she doesn't shoot anybody. She didn't care shit about the first guy, like during the first shot. Killed the one guy accidentally. Kind of like how Jason's look was there. Get the head smash. Oh no, she's dead. Trust me. I mean, you could. That's a different take on the Tommy character tie. I don't necessarily know if I would go with that, but you definitely could, especially if you had someone like Corey Feldman delivering the lines. I think Corey Feldman would have that snarkiness that Riggs has from Lethal Weapon. I saw a machete. And my eye's starting to twitch. Oh man. Now I wonder if it's that specific dagger that he has was the only thing that could have been used that transforms. or if it was like any kind of knife while inside the house that transformed it. That's the whole thing. Why would Jason kill either one of them, knowing that there's a chance he could always be blown up again, and then ultimately need them again? Jason is farming his family as livestock. But you wonder if he could actually use the body from one of his family members more than once. If he has to. Ooh, shit. I'm trying to get a good yawn in so I don't do it anymore. Shit. So we get Jason talking. Which, why did he like bum rush her like that? If he wasn't Jason, like why would he do that? It looked like fucking ramen noodles. Way he's like crawling out and in. What the fuck, man? We got wormy Jason. No, Ty, I don't think you have to worry about that. I mean, if anything, to put your worries at ease, watch Tom McLaughlin's interview with Slash and Cass. He pretty much goes over the inspiration behind that whole idea. And like I said, an all-female cast in a movie, it lends itself better to Friday the 13th more than any other franchise. So whose bone body was that? Was that Josh's? Yep, and we get Kane back as Jason. But how did he get the clothes back? And where did the hockey mask come from? And it's like, shouldn't he have had both of his eyes returned? It's like, God damn it. Ugh. I mean, he could have probably survived that, but I still don't see. I don't see him being who he was. Like, being able to, like. I think he'd be paralyzed. Ooh. See, as much as like Jason threw Steven around, like they should have, like there's no way Jason's playing that much with someone with getting his hands on them. Ooh, like that should have been a concussion there. Thick skin and double meds, maybe. He's a battle duke. So I mean, does that pierce like the magic inside Jason and is like releasing it? So I mean, I guess canon wise, if you were going to factor in Freddy versus Jason and Jason X, that this not work because her bloodline is diluted because she is the daughter of a half Voorhees. Thick skin versus double meds. I mean, personally, I would go with thick skin because that opens up extra item slot for you. So that way you can just grab a med spray and it's almost like you got double meds without having that extra med spray on you. So that way you could grab something else. Especially if you have to use the med spray, that you can go grab something like the keys or something like that. It all depends on your preference of playing and the character you play with. Like if you get injured easy. I mean, Frank Mancuso would definitely be a plus to bring back to the franchise. Like, I would love Frank Mancuso to come back. But you never know. Blumhouse may get Frank Mancuso back. I mean, they did get John Carpenter to come back to the Halloween franchise. So that, for me, is a big plus. Like I said, for someone like them, they show a lot of love to these kind of movies. So I'm assuming this is where Jason lays up until Freddy versus Jason. It's kind of odd they couldn't get Robert Englund to actually laugh for that. They just gave you like a generic kind of villain laugh. Jason patties are totally delicious. All right, and that was Jason Goes to Hell. Fun movie to watch. Like I said, it's a fun movie to watch, but when you apply it to the canon, it definitely leaves a little bit to be desired, in my opinion. Which, in turn, taking it as a separate universe movie definitely helps in that regard. Because then at that point, you can divorce yourself from what you knew before from the Paramount movies as that being its own canon. And let's say like pretty much how you have like the Marvel universe, you have the Marvel Ultimate Universe. This is the Jason Ultimate Universe. The original Paramount universe was just the Friday the 13th universe. And then we have the remake universe and stuff like that. So we essentially have 3 different timelines. And then for those of you that may have heard Tom McLaughlin's interview, his movie would essentially create another branch timeline setting after part 6. So that would be another kind of thing. I'm glad you had a great time, Chuck. I always have a great time doing these. You guys make it pretty much worthwhile doing. But yeah, I think at this point, with us going this long without a Friday the 13th movie, whether Blumhouse wanted to do it or pretty much any studio at this point, I'd just love to take one. But I think the route, if Tom McLaughlin's movie ends up getting made, I think the future of Friday the 13th movies is actually going to be in standalone movies. Sort of like Campfire Tales revolving around Jason Voorhees. There's not going to necessarily be, at least in my mind, a canon timeline. It's going to be something that happens, and then you're going to question, like, wait a minute, that can't happen because that would have took place between part 7 and 8, or something along those lines. And it's going to be up to you to try to fit the canon together. They're just going to try to make Jason movies similar to how they say like the X-Men movies continuity was a mess. It may be the same thing with that. So you were here the entire show for what? Yeah, I noticed that, Jason. I think the biggest mistake wasn't Adam Marcus. Surprisingly enough, I do not blame Adam Marcus for the state of the story of the movie or how the movie was made or anything like that. I blame it mostly on Sean Cunningham's ultimately his greediness towards it. Like wanting the hockey mask out of the movie. Even though I know he's been on record saying he did not want the hockey mask in the movie, but I kind of believe Adam on that he did want it out. And there was pushback back and forth with how the story was supposed to go. And some of Adam's ideas in his interviews, if they came up at that time, the way he says it, would have been fucking fantastic for this movie. I mean, I'd still disliked it as part of the canon, and I still would have divorced it from the Paramount movies the way I do now, but the visuals would have been fucking phenomenal. Said even more than Halloween's timelines? Yes, essentially. Because at that point, they're going to be adopting campfire tales kind of thing. Like that kind of format. It's essentially, look at it this way. Like for any of you that ever watched the show Are You Afraid of the Dark? And how you had the Midnight Society all telling stories around the campfire. It'd be the same thing, except each person is telling a Jason story, and that's being made into a movie. That's the way I think they're likely going to be going. If they don't go that way and they go a different route, they don't use Tom McLaughlin's script, they end up going a different way and they try to restart the canon from a different point in time, and they try to create a timeline event like going 3 or 4 sequels like they're doing with Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends. I think the TV show can definitely live on like that. If they do a TV show for Friday the 13th, if they don't want to do Pamela's Tale, they can definitely do a Campfire Tale show. And each story revolving around Jason, different designs for Jason, different stories revolving around Jason, Ghost Jason, Zombie Jason, Living Jason, Toxic Jason, anything. You could do almost anything with a show that has that kind of format. Yeah, like I think, because I mean, even after hearing Tom McLaughlin's interview, I mean, there are some things that jumped out at me, and then there's some things that can make you kind of recoil. Like, wait a minute, I don't know about that, but I mean, I trust Tom McLaughlin. I mean, you look at Friday the 13th Part 6, you get him with Frank Mancuso back again. Even if Blumhouse decide to go to those two to do a new Friday the 13th and make it as authentic as possible, only reason I keep saying Blumhouse is, especially in regards to rebooting a timeline, Blumhouse now is the standard for that. So to me, it's the Blumhouse standard. Not necessarily them taking over the franchise, but just that standard. If you actually do through Blumhouse, again, they do show the track record of actually caring about these franchises. Now, granted, they've only had one really. So once we get to maybe something like they do Scream, I think they are going to be working on at some point, last I heard. If they're able to do Scream and they do Scream really well, then yeah, Friday the 13th, go for it. Nightmare on Elm Street, go for it. I think they can really put the passion in, and not even just them making it. They can be someone like pretty much just overseers and like sort of like a middle to a middleman and just helping putting production together. It's not like you got Jason Blum and Danny McBride and all of them taking over the production for all of these movies, because then you're going to get run over. You're going to get a little bit of Halloween run over to the Scream. You're going to get a little bit of Scream and Halloween running over into Friday the 13th, and all the franchises will start bleeding together and nothing will have its own identity. Vote for Tommy to return. I'm starting a petition. Yeah, that was a hell of a commentary. I enjoyed that. Even watching Jason Goes to Hell. I know I was yawning throughout most of the thing, but I mean, I did kind of work since 11 o'clock in the morning, so I was still kind of sleepy. Blumhouse, the Monopoly horror. I mean, if they put the same care that they do in everything in Halloween, and they're able to install different directors, basically, like, think of like Blumhouse like this: you're a TV network, and you're running each show. You don't put the same director of your most successful show on all of your shows. You put a different director or showrunner on each show, and what doesn't work, you kick to the curb. What does, you keep. So what Blumhouse could do if they want to sustain all of these franchises is actually put people in place. Like if they got Friday the 13th, give us someone that cares about the franchise. Don't give us someone like Marcus Nispel that pretty much didn't give two shits about Friday the 13th. Like pretty much install different people for each movie that intends to put the same kind of love and care that Jason Blum and all them put into Halloween 2018. If you can do that, go for it. Be a monopoly. If you can do that and pay homage and capture the tone and feel for every single franchise. If you can't guarantee that you can do that, don't touch it. The dark business. I mean, that's just the way I'd look at it. Because, I mean, you even look at my idea for Nightmare on Elm Street, which I'm going to be doing a video on that soon. I want to try to really flesh out what I want to do with the story that reboots that A Nightmare on Elm Street timeline back to a new part 2, to sort of bring Freddy back to being angry, taunting, and scary, not the jokey, making one-liners kind of Freddy that he became from pretty much part 3 on. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I want to try to recapture what Wes Craven did in part 1 and go from there and create a story around Freddy and Nancy that pretty much, the story between Freddy and Nancy, you guys already know. Nancy is holding Freddy inside of her ever since part 1 because she took the power from Freddy by turning her back on him. All the fear that her and her friends gave Freddy, she took back. So essentially, you can kind of say she gained a Dream Master kind of power in the dream world and was able to imprison Freddy. But eventually, she's still mortal. She's going to die. And her initial thought was to essentially hope that because Freddy was aging with her, she gained a year in age, Freddy gained a year in age in the dream world. So, like, pretty much, if you haven't noticed, like, the way I did it was Freddy's burn marks disappeared because Nancy willed it. Nancy is in control of the dream world. Freddy is essentially, for all intents and purposes, her bitch to begin with. She dictates everything in the dream world. And her whole goal was to keep Freddy imprisoned. Take away his fear. His biggest fear selling point was his appearance. She made him look human again. And when she aged, he aged. So therefore you get an aged Robert Englund. So it makes sense of why Robert Englund's character would be old by the time you see him in this film. So when Nancy dies, Freddy is still old, but he is now back once again able to break from his prison and now go after the grandchildren of Elm Street. And with that, with all of their screams, their fear, every kill, Freddy begins to get younger and more powerful as to where he was in part 1. And he's able to change his appearance back to the burned Freddy that we know. But by the time he gets to that point, it's going to be a new actor. So then you have the old Freddy passing literally the torch to the young new Freddy. And then going from there. But it has to be someone that can capture the exact character and essence from the Nightmare on Elm Street Part 1 Freddy. Not the jokester Freddy, but the actual I'm going to split you in two Freddy. But I don't want to get too far into that because I do want to do the video. Nancy, welcome to my world, bitch. Kind of. But like I said, I don't want to get too far into that because I am in the writing process of how I want that story to play out. Similar to my Friday the 13th potential sequel. Because I know you guys love that. And if I finish this has a good response, then I will definitely, I'm already planning to relook at my Friday the 13th sequel video and do a sequel to that and how I would do a sequel to it. If that makes any sense. I felt like I said that twice. Because, I mean, I'm in a story writing kind of mood. We're almost in October very soon. So I feel like some scary story videos is definitely needed for the channel to go with some Dark Theories videos. But yeah, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get off here. I got some ice cream downstairs waiting for me, and it's got my name on it. But yeah, I want to thank you guys for sticking around and watching. Glad you guys had a good time. At least I hope all of you had a good time. I'm going to jump off here. Tomorrow, we will be watching Jason X. We will be seeing Uber Jason do his thing for, what, the 20 minutes of screen time I think he's on there? I think it's something like that. 20, 30 minutes, maybe? Either way, it's, I believe, Kane Hodder's last performance as Jason. So we'll be honoring that, watching that tomorrow. So make sure you guys got your copies ready. Tuesday, Freddy versus Jason. Wednesday, Friday the 13th, the remake. We'll be watching that as well. And that will conclude our Friday the 13th commentaries. Next week will be all Scream. So Ghostface, when you're watching this, I expect you to be here for all 4 of those streams. If not, expect a phone call. But I'll see you guys, and as always, I am JG Dark, and thanks for watching.